Hello, and welcome to Big Bang Radio Spotlights. This is a show where we talk to independent artists from all around the world about their music and their process for making it. I'm your host, Nouran, and today I got to talk to singer-songwriter Trey Connor. Without any further ado, here's the interview. Trey, thank you so much for joining us today. We really do appreciate it. The first thing I want to start asking is, how would you describe your sound to someone who may have never heard your music before?
Okay, I would, thank you for having me, by the way. It's great to be here. I would describe it as kind of alternative indie pop rock, somewhere in that realm.
Awesome. So you would say it's in between rock and indie, right? Correct?
Somewhere in between there, yeah. Maybe just alternative rock. Somewhere in between there, yeah, for sure.
It says that since you were 15, you've been releasing music. When you were 15 years old to now, what has changed when it comes to your music?
A lot. So that was a little while ago for me. I grew up more in the hard rock world. I was a big Skid Row and Foo Fighters fan. Those are my two favorite bands. So around like junior year, senior year of high school, when I was 18, I kind of made the switch into more contemporary rock music. Just taste change as I grew up and kind of grew out of that hard rock world. So since then, I started doing my own solo stuff, and I released my first EP in 2016 as a solo artist, and I've just been doing the solo artist thing since then.
And I know you were also in a rock band, correct? That you were with for a few years, I guess.
Yeah, for 3 or 4 years, Bulletproof Snow. We had a lot of fun. That was my first real rock band, and that's where I got all my experience playing out, and just kind of got familiar with the whole music thing. And yeah, that was a great time.
So I know all of us get inspiration from things we experience, but specifically in your music career, who would you say has inspired you as you begin your music career?
As I was beginning, definitely Dave Grohl, and from a songwriting perspective, since I was about 18, the Goo Goo Dolls have been a huge inspiration. Matchbox 20, Need to Breathe. Those are probably my main influences in songwriting.
So who would you say is your icon in the music world?
My icon, oh man, definitely John Resnick of the Goo Goo Dolls and Rob Thomas of Matchbox 20, some of my favorite songwriters. When it comes to guitar playing, Scotty Hill, Skid Row, still has my heart. He was a huge inspiration when I was learning guitar, and I'll always have a little bit of his kind of style, no matter how far I move away from that kind of music.
Who would you say would be the most you want to do a collaboration with in the future?
Oh man, that's a hard one. There's so many amazing artists out there. Maybe James Bay. I feel like that would be a really cool one. He's one of my favorite modern artists right now.
Okay, so you currently live in Austin, Texas, and I know you said that it's your favorite city to live in and to create your music. So why Austin, Texas specifically is so special to you in your heart?
Well, it's the first place I've lived outside of my hometown where I grew up, Heartland, Michigan, small town. And I've been here for a couple of years, and I just absolutely love the city here. I chose the city. Me and my buddy from high school, we actually moved down here together. He's an actor in the film industry. And we both kind of decided that Austin was a good mutual place to move to for both of the careers that we're pursuing.
And I know a lot of artists usually come in Austin, Texas to create their music industry.
Yeah, it's a lot of people in Austin aren't from Austin. That's what I've learned. So a lot of people are coming here. It's just a really cool city, full of really nice people, really diverse. There's a little bit of everything here. A little bit of nature, a little bit of city. You kind of get a taste for everything here.
Okay, so when it comes to motivation, we all have different sort of ways that motivates us, but specifically in your writing process, what's one thing that motivates you every time when you write your music, your album, your songs?
So I think the biggest thing that motivates me is listening to a song that really moves me. It kind of gets me in the mood to try writing on my own. I go through a lot of different waves of emotion with writing. A lot of it's a lot of frustration. I put time, and then that's just part of it. You put a lot of time into it, and then you end up with something you don't really like. But I'd say the biggest thing that inspires me to write is listening to music that I really love, really hits me a certain way. Yeah, that's probably the biggest thing.
And when it comes to your decision with writing, how do you decide what to write about in your songs?
It kind of depends. That's a good question. It depends what's going on in the world, in my life. Kind of just random things, whatever I'm feeling, whatever I can write from the heart and make sound honest. I try to keep it related to my life in some way. It might kind of branch off and evolve into something else, but it comes from something that's going on in my life or that I'm seeing in the world around me.
So currently you released your new album, Horizons, and could you tell us how long the process was to complete this album?
Absolutely. This was a long process with this one. It was my first studio album. It began in Florida, St. Augustine, Florida, actually, through a company called Music Gorilla that is based out here in Austin. Jim Cochran lent his studio to me. Super kind, super appreciative. He was a great guy to work with. That's where it began. So we did most of the raw recording there. Came back to Austin, tracked some more stuff. Then I went home to Michigan, tracked some more stuff, and had it finished up in Michigan. So it kind of was all over the place, Florida, Texas, and Michigan. But it was a long process, but a really fun one. And yeah, so it was finished up in Michigan, and we released it I released it in April. Or we wanted to release it in April, released it in June, I'm sorry.
So how many years you would say it took you, or how many months it took you to complete it 100%?
Sure. So the recording process began in May of 2019, and we released I released the first single in October. So Fear was the first single. So it took a good chunk, a few months. Yeah, so we released 4 singles: October, November, January, and February. And then I wanted to release the album in April, but with COVID and everything, I kind of sat on it. But
so you have about 9 songs in this album, correct? And
yeah.
I know that each song means something special to you. So could you tell us which song specifically you enjoyed most with this writing process?
Oh yeah, that's a tough one. I think this Fear is probably my favorite song off of the album, mainly because it's one of the most honest songs I've written, and I think it just turned out to be one of the best among the 9 on the album.
So what do you think are the obstacles for artists or bands today?
A lot. I think there's a lot of things. It's a hard one. I think kind of finding your sound is a tough one. I know I'm always trying to figure out my sound, and I think each release is kind of different. But the hardest thing is just moving forward, keep moving forward. I think a lot of people get discouraged and, you fall down a lot. You just kind of got to keep at it, keep writing, keep playing shows, just keep going. I think that's one of the hardest things to do. It seems simple, but it's hard. It's easy to get discouraged.
I know also during this pandemic that we're in right now, you probably record more in the studio than you perform on stage. So before COVID-19, do you prefer like recording in the studio or performing on stage?
I like them both for different reasons. I think performing on stage is going to be always one of my favorite things. I probably prefer that more than actually recording in the studio, but I love doing both. But yeah, I'd have to prefer performing on stage.
So what's one place you would like to tour at one day?
Oh man. I think the biggest place, and for a lot of people, is Wembley. That would be a great place to play. That's the peak place, I think.
So, but before we go, are you currently working on a new material you would like to tell to your fans?
Yeah, nothing concrete, but I'm always writing. I'm always working on the next thing. So, I'm writing for album 3. Definitely beginning stages, but that's the next thing, especially with shows not being a thing right now for the foreseeable future. I'm planning on the next release. I'm working towards the next album.
And one more thing, where can our listeners find you and your music?
You can find me anywhere: Spotify, Apple Music, Google Play, YouTube. TreyConnor.com is kind of the hub for all those places, the center for it. But yeah, it's everywhere online. Not hard to find.
Thanks to Trey Connor for sitting down with us and talking all about his music. If you want to see more interviews just like this, you can go to facebook.com/Studio67NCC, youtube.com/NashCom College, or you can find us on Instagram at Studio67NCC. Thank you all for watching. I'm Nouran Shaban, and remember to stay positive.